Yay. Good morning. We're going to get started this morning with a couple of great joy songs from some of our favorite composers. This first one's from Karen Drecker. For years I would talk about how I wanted to make a change, but I always left it to someone else to do. But then I finally realized I needed to take a stand, and that by changing my thinking I could change my life. That's how I could change the world. Come on now, y'all. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now. Yeah, and now from Janice Stanfield, 2, 3, and. Because how we make a difference and how we take a stand is by doing as much good as we can. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. Faster now. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. Yeah, I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. Back to the slow. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. Let's do it one more time, yeah? I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good, take me home, that I can do. Here we are. Good morning and welcome to Columbine Spiritual Center. We're centered in God. We celebrate a world of harmony, peace, and abundance for all. We're so excited today to be welcoming back one of Columbine's favorite guest artists, Boulder's own Lisa Bell. Woo! This is Lisa's first time back with us since before everything changed.
Indeed, indeed. I chose this song today. It's Anger Month, but it's also seems really dark and heavy, especially with all the fires burning right now. And this is a song about coming out of that dark, deep depression that a lot of us have, and through the other side, because it's coming.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Disconnected nights, the moonlight stands at bay. Shutters drawn upon the words I cannot say. Seems the light of day will never be here, but dawn is breaking, time to face another fear. And it's okay, it's time to live another day. Yeah, it's alright, I can make it through the night with your light, with your light, with your light. Seems like I'm always chasing darkness, a shadow I can't see. Always chasing darkness, or is it chasing me? Always chasing darkness, a shadow I can't see. Always chasing darkness, or is it chasing? Often all I need is the comfort of this room. Lying in the dark, just me in my cocoon. Melancholy moments water from my eyes. A sting of shame descends, a voice that I despise. But it's okay, it's time to live another day. Yeah, it's alright, I'll push past the lonely night with your light, with your light, with your light. Seems like I'm always chasing darkness, a shadow I can't see. Always chasing darkness, or is it chasing me? Always chasing darkness, a shadow I can't see. Always chasing darkness, or is it chasing me?
George Laxon, everybody.
Seems like I'm always chasing darkness, a shadow I can't see. Always chasing darkness, or is it chasing me? Oh, I'm always chasing darkness, a shadow I can't see. Always chasing darkness, or is it chasing? Is it chasing me? Always chasing darkness, shadow I can't see. Is it chasing me? Always chasing darkness, or is it chasing me? Is it chasing me? Always chasing darkness, shadow I can't see. Is it chasing me? Always chasing darkness. Let me be free.
Lisa Bell, George Laxon, Larry Thompson,
Janice Kelly.
Cindy Smith, Scott Shell. Good to have the team back.
I was going to say, it's a host today. Welcome, everyone. So glad you're with us this morning. Always good to be here, and it's always good to start, isn't it, with not only music, but some time for us to reconnect with who and what we are as spiritual beings. So invite you to just take a nice deep breath, and let's move into some prayer together this morning. Yeah. As we allow ourselves to open to the presence that we are, we naturally find ourselves guided to the light. Oh yeah, it's easy, right, to be searching out the darkness. But here we find the light. And in the light, everything becomes acceptable. We begin to see with clear eyes that our life is unfolding with great order, that everything is bringing us to higher expression, including our anger. I love that Lisa said we're in the month of anger. Well, that's our self-announced month. It's not like it's a month of national anger. But we're looking at anger this month, or these 4 weeks, and just invite you to recognize that from this place, all of our expression is greeted with acceptance. And we begin to see that everything that we do, everything that comes from our mouth is pointing to something, pointing to the truth or pointing to some block that we have to the flow of our nature or the flow of truth. And we just create the space for it this morning by taking a nice deep breath and allowing. We are beautiful expressions of spirit, beautiful expressions of the one. We are. And so from that place now, as I do every week, I want to invite you to bring the people on your personal prayer list into this presence of acceptance, this presence of delicate love. Bring to mind also those people that are on our Columbine prayer list, those names that are in our prayer box in our front lobby. All the people in the world that are suffering. The cool thing is there's plenty of room for everybody in the light of our consciousness, in this beautiful presence. We add our presence to their presence, strengthening, supporting, allowing them to transcend through the darkness to the light, to be healed, to be prospered, whatever it is. It's there now, through the activity of Spirit. And we give thanks this morning for this opportunity to connect. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
I think anger at ourselves is something that a lot of us are experiencing right now, and angry at the world that we can't move past. We can't seem to get past 2020 yet, and it will pass, and this time will pass. And now is such a great time for remembering that we have dreams, and the veil between here and the future and here and the other world seems really thin right now. And this is a song about that.
2, 3, 4.
Daydreams all around us, but those ways and means still confound us. Can't move without a safety net. If there's a way, can't see it yet. Lost among the things as we get older. while our passions slowly start to smolder. We can make it past the fear, but we've got to take the time to make it clear. Meet me in the space between, where words are just formalities, where we can learn to trust the voice within. Meet me where the worlds collide, where the fragile veil is cast aside, so we can see the future coming in. In the echoes of conversation is where we find our true obligation. We were never meant to stay the same, stuck here on the surface to remain. Meet me in the space between, where words are just formalities, where we can learn to trust the voice within. Meet me where the worlds collide, where the fragile veil is cast aside, so we can see the future coming in. Looking through the cracks, never knowing there's a door. I still don't know the how, but I'm ready to explore. 'Cause I want more, give me more. Yeah, I want more, searching for more. So meet me in the space between, where words are just formalities, where we can learn to trust the voice within. Meet me where the worlds collide, where the fragile veil is cast aside, so we can see the future coming in. Let's bring it in.
Lisa Bell, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, Lisa's message, what a great way to start. How many of us can trust all the force within? You know, you think about it, anger is quite a force. Do you trust your anger? I think for many of us, anger, as I alluded to, has a bad rap, that we feel guilty, we feel shame. People around us can shame us for it. Our judge certainly shames me when I get angry at someone. It's not something that we really see as beneficial, and certainly not something that most of us trust. And yet I'd like to confront that belief today, because anger always is pointing to something. Not maybe always expressed in the most skillful way, but it's working to point to something that we need to see or to express. we are working through these 4 weeks. We're working with Arun Gandhi's book, The Gift of Anger. Great little book. I'd like to say that it's in our bookstore. We had the bright idea of ordering a dozen of them so that you could stop by the church and get one. Unfortunately, with everything that's being shipped around, they have not arrived yet, but we're feeling confident they'll arrive this week. In the book, Arun tells the story of his then 6-year-old sister, Ella. The background of the story is that Arun and his family had been living in South Africa in a commune that their grandfather had started years earlier. And at that commune, they had the same practices as the commune they had just moved to. They just moved to be at their grandfather's commune in India, at Mahatma Gandhi's commune. And the practice was that they raised the food that they ate. But in South Africa, they raised a variety of foods. They were prepared in a variety of dishes with spices. Eating was a treat. And then they arrive at their grandfather's commune in India, and literally for 3 meals a day, they had steamed pumpkin. And the rest of the family, including Arun, had already been maybe socialized, you would say, had already been taught that you conform to your surroundings, let's say. But Ella, she still had that free spirit from the mouths of children, right? And so she started, in a rather, bold and strong way, she started questioning, why are we having pumpkin? She went to her parents. Now, Ella, this is your grandfather's commune, and it's run according to his dictates. Of course, the assumptions, right, are that these are his dictates. Then she went to talk to the cook. Same story. We're sure that the dictate that we're to have pumpkin must have come from your grandfathers, so who's to question that? Well, finally, her frustration just built up so much that she burst into her grandfather's hut, which it was literally a hut with with dirt floors, and she said something like, "We should just call this the pumpkin commune," and her grandfather looked at her a little confused and, what are you talking about? And she said that all we eat is pumpkin here. Now, he was not aware of that. He didn't partake in many of the communal meals. He was busy. He, in fact, didn't eat that much and didn't pay much attention to what he ate. And so this came as news to him, and certainly was not what he had dictated. And so at the next community event, instead of giving a talk like he usually did, he brought up the food. Why are we eating pumpkin? And found out that there had been a bumper crowd of pumpkin, that the gentleman in charge of the commune had been told, use what we have here to make meals, and he had taken it literally. And Mahatma was able to say, well, I would recommend you take those pumpkins to market and barter them for other products and for spices, and let's mix it up a little bit. You can hear, right, all the assumptions that go on in our lives. All the assumptions. And Ella became the hero of the day. It was through Ella's anger, her frustration, her willing to act on it, that she was able to get to the truth, to cut through the assumptions. And the question that it rose for me was, where are all the opportunities that I've missed out on being the hero of the day? Because I was unwilling to speak my truth, to ask the question, to do what was needed to be in alignment with what my truth for the moment was. And I'm wondering for you, how many opportunities have you missed to be the hero of the day simply by speaking your truth? I bet you for me it's could be in the hundreds of thousands. Really, I mean, I think of all the ways that I've learned to conform. And you see, that's the beauty of anger. Anger, if you look at it, is, what would you say, penetrating through either the external limitation we're put on or our own internal limitations. All those rules, all those ideas that we live by internally that have come to us through exactly what happened to Ella, right? Ella was coming speaking her truth. She didn't want to eat boiled pumpkin anymore, and she was met with resistance everywhere she went. A resistance that said, put that away. Damp down that idea. We're in somebody else's domain now. Your truth doesn't matter. And we learn then to cap it off, to bring it down. And yet, you see, spirit in us is a dynamic, alive, expansive energy. An energy that, after a while, can't be kept down. But as it tries to come up through all that resistance, it comes out angry. Maybe you've had the experience, I know I have, of really needing to say something, but I have all my fear and all my resistance up, and so by the time I say it, it actually sounds like I'm angry, right? I'm just trying to get it out. So often we take the perception that others are angry so personally, but I've learned for myself to see, wow, I bet that was really hard for them to say. And it was only that energy trying to break loose, trying to bring the truth to the surface. It's interesting, Arun says that, and he's referring to his grandfather, Mahatma Gandhi, he says, he tried to make all of us think for ourselves. He believed that you shouldn't try to please others at a cost to yourself. You shouldn't try to please others at a cost to yourself. And he didn't mind if his followers challenged him. A no uttered from the deepest conviction is better than a yes uttered to please, or worse, to avoid trouble, he told us. And this is the challenge. And he went on then to say that following the crowd is no way to create change and improve the world. This is a key. Following the crowd is no way to create change or to improve the world. As human beings, it's really important for us to remember that while we are all expressions of the same spirit, we are unique expressions. We view things differently. We see things. We all have our own different giftedness. And for us not to bring forward our truth is then denying the opportunity for the highest good to come manifest, for us to work out through all the different challenges and stuff and go, aha, this seems to be the route that we should take. And so the opportunity is not necessarily to work our anger, right? It's not to become more angry. The opportunity is to see what are the blocks that cause us to come out with anger. Arun shares a story in this chapter where there was a gentleman in his grandfather's commune who got angry and tended to belittle people out of his anger. And he knew it was bad, and he was meeting with Gandhi, and Gandhi was always encouraging people to come up with their own solutions, to think for themselves, as we read early. So this gentleman was, acknowledging that he had a problem with his anger, and Gandhi said, well, what are you going to do about it? Give some thought to what you can do about it to work with it. And much to everyone's surprise, including Gandhi's, this gentleman took a piece of wire and sewed his lips shut, sewed his mouth shut. Now, I spent a lot of time reflecting on that this week, and I really don't recommend that. And it's not that I don't recommend it just because of the sheer pain and really kind of barbarism of it. It's more that by sewing your mouth shut, you're really putting yourself back in the same model that Ella found herself in. Her family was saying to her, keep your mouth shut. This is not our area of influence. If Mahatma Gandhi wants us to eat pumpkin, we're going to eat pumpkin. And that is what gets us down. That is what causes us not to be in touch. The energy that we're working with here is strength. Our anger is, you could say, blocked or restricted down strength. And we all understand, if you've ever tried to raise a child, or if you've been around a young child, their strength is amazing. You know, one of the colors for strength is red. And a kid, you know, they when they get frustrated or angry, they literally turn red. You know, they're just, ah. And we have to socialize some of that out of them, or it'd be a very different world that we live in. The challenge is that at some point, we can handle that strength. And yet we've been told and we've come to believe that our strength is dangerous. Strength gives you a sense of bigness. You feel big and strong and able to deliver the message that yours to deliver or take the action that is yours to take. You can take it. You can handle it. That's the sense of strength. And you can see when you pair that with power and you pair that with will, that things can really get done in our lives. And we're not saying that they're done in a bullying or belligerent sort of way. Everything's done with love in heart, but it keeps us able to really be out there and to do something. Because strength is pretty much a universal challenge, just by the nature of socialization, that we need to reconnect with our strength. You know, it's great that anger comes up, forces its, you know, the power, as Lisa sang about, is coming through all the resistance. But we don't want to just walk around being angry people. It's not very effective in the long run, right? We're much more effective when we can be aware of the power coming up that's saying, hey, this needs to be said, and to say it from a grounded, centered place. And so our responsibility becomes to, one, begin to develop a container that can hold strength, that can allow strength. I was researching Thich Nhat Hanh this week because he's also written a book on anger, and I wanted to hear what some of his comments were. And he takes major exception with what I'm going to tell you next. He says, it does not work. But I think it's important to remember, too, that he's a Buddhist, and Buddhists really take to heart no harm. There's no real strong energy in Buddhism. It's a very loving, gentle movement. I have no problem with it, but let me tell you that for me, getting in touch with my strength in a direct way totally changed my life. I was someone that felt that the only way that I could really be loved and accepted was to go along with. To go along with. And as I began to work with strength, I've learned that, and my perspective is important. So, what do I recommend? I recommend that when we're frustrated, that we get it out, that we allow our body to begin to feel what it's like to be strong. And so I frequently throw myself on my bed and I kick and hit. I think it's really important to verbalize the frustration at the same time, because it's not going to work if you can't say something, right? You know, if we just sit there and hold our strength and never speak the truth, what good have we done? I also like to swing a bat. I have a foam bat. Just come to the church and hang out in my office. You can use my foam bat. It's really cathartic, to get in there and really swing that bat. What happens if you're bringing, and I can understand what Thich Nat's saying. If you don't bring any consciousness to it, it's not helping. It's just blowing off energy. But afterwards, when you realize how energized you feel, you'll feel the energy down to your fingertips and in your toes. You begin to experience that this thing, your body, can hold so much emotion without needing to leak it out. That force that comes up in you can be held and expressed. It doesn't need to be damped down because, oh my goodness, I might say something that ejects me from the group, ejects me from my friends, from my family. And we're allowed to speak the truth. You see, strength always supports us in living and speaking the truth. I got to see this in action this week, how we can be support for one another and how easy it is to what I call collapse. If we're not in touch with our strength, we can go into something with such resolve, and then when we meet resistance to it, we sort of collapse. We back off. We put our head down all of a sudden. So Stuart has, for years now, wanted to get into training. And an amazing opportunity opened up for him sort of mid last week, so just a few days ago, where a job was extended to him if he could start on Monday. Now, he knew about this job, and he had been told that they were going to be hiring another group of people in October, but for now, they had filled their quota. But someone dropped out. Someone was not going to move forward with their employment. And they called Stuart. He was the next highest on their list and said, we'd love you to start on Monday. Yeah. Now for Stuart, he values being good to people and good to employer. And in his mind, it's important to give 3 weeks notice. That's a very valuable thing to live with. But the interesting thing, guys, about the truth is no respecter of people and our values and what we hold important. The truth is in the moment. And in the moment, this is his dream job. And it seemed to me, I was coaching him, this is what you've wanted. Isn't it worth at least checking out to see if you can make this work? And sure enough, he found out from his new employer that the first 3 weeks of the work are not necessarily full-time, that he could have afternoons, certainly could take evenings, and he could be working for his current employer. So he went into telling his employer on Friday, telling his supervisor, feeling good. I could feel the strength in him. With strength comes the quality of clarity. There was great clarity. I thought, oh, this is going to go great. Well, as the universe would have it, his supervisor didn't respond very well to this news. And, she had a typical human response, right? Which is, our first response is often centered around us. The timing of this is awful. And what were you thinking? And, you're valuable here, and we can't live without you. And Stuart reached out to me to talk about it, and you could feel that he was suddenly feeling bad, feeling like he was a bad person, that, and maybe I should wait till October. Maybe I should call them back and also say, I can't do it. And it's funny that strength rose in me. It was so interesting. It was like I just felt myself get very big and not like rock solid, like, impenetrable, but I was like totally in alignment with the truth, and able to say to him, Stuart, You, for 3 years now, have been very transparent with your company that you wanted to be in training. You've applied for every training position your company has offered, and they have not hired you into that position. You have told your company for the entire time I've known you, for 6 years, that they needed to be hiring or they needed to be training a backup for you, and that you needed support because the job was big. And now you're coming to them and saying, hey, this is not ideal, but my perfect job has come along, and I'm taking it. And that is your prerogative. And they get to have their reaction to it. And you could just feel him begin to come back up, to fill back up, to go, yeah, you're right. And I didn't get to say this in the first service, but he received both communication, I don't know if it was a text or an email, from both his supervisor later that day and his supervisor's manager, congratulating him and telling him, of course you need to take this job, and thank you so much for making yourself available for the next 3 weeks. Do you see, it is not easy in the moment to trust the force that you are, to trust your strength, to trust the clarity of the truth that's coming through you. And yet, the universe is right there with you, manifesting as these qualities of your beingness, if we can just make the way. The piece that Thich Nhat did so beautifully is he reminded us that we really need to we want to clear the way for strength, and we need to be willing to look at our anger, not to be frustrated with it. He said, hold it tenderly in your heart. But we need to look at what is the resistance here that keeps me from just being able to be strong? I was reflecting this week that many times in my life, even, among members of the congregation, things can really make me angry. Most of the time, though, the anger rises in me, just like that kicking and hitting or hitting the bat. It fills my whole body. But I'm able to hold it and say, wow, that really makes me angry. It's not like I need to yell or scream. I can just label it. This is what it's doing to me. That's the opportunity that all of us have. A healthy human being has access to anger. But by our willingness to create a container that allows it, and for our willingness to look at what's really going on here that's making me angry, we clear the way for strength. Strength that makes us feel big, strong, able to handle the fallout of whatever happens in our life. That reminds me, I have one more quote. This is from Arun, from his own life experience. He says, I learned that day that speaking out can cause upheaval, fear, and conflict long before it results in the change we want. This is, what Stuart went through. Sometimes it's easier to keep your head down and not make noise, to eat the boiled pumpkin, and figure that it's safer and less complicated to go along with the crowd. But my grandfather would never do that. Mahatma Gandhi would never do that. You see, we have something to learn here today. To trust our anger, to trust the force within us, to not stop there, but to develop this container that can hold that kind of force rising in us. This is your truth. And to look at those triggers that tend to bring up that energy in us that's not real, that causes us just to want someone else to conform to us, so that we can live the purity of life that Mahatma Gandhi lived. And so let's move into some time of meditation now. And I want to invite you to, again, take a nice deep breath and not to breathe away what's going on. If you have some kind of reaction going on to what I've said, or if you're feeling particularly guilty about an encounter or something, don't breathe it away. Let it be there. Bring it gently, tenderly into your heart. Be willing to explore it. Be willing to set a boundary with your judge, which always creates shame and guilt. Tell it this is not the time. And we open to the truth of that first quote that we heard Arun saying of his grandfather. We shouldn't try to please others at the cost to ourselves. In this moment, we take that as our truth. We will not work to please others at the cost to ourselves. We let the truth now be our guiding force, our guiding light. And we trust the truth that comes to us. We trust the truth that Gandhi spoke when he said that no real change happens unless we are willing to share our perspective, our truth. The light never comes to the planet unless we're willing to live that light, to live our truth, to live our guidance. We have come here for purpose. We may not know fully what that purpose is, but by trusting our truth, speaking and living it, the mystery unfolds. And so we now move into a time of silence where we allow ourselves to be the truth that we are.
Change my life to thy life. Change my life to thy life. Change my life to thy life. Change my life to love. Change my heart to thy heart. Change my heart to thy heart. Change my heart to thy heart. Change my life to love. Change my mind to thy
This is the time in our service where we take our offering. A little different now. We take it electronically now. I want to, before we get into our offertory blessing, just again thank you for your support. We're actually doing very well. We're not quite meeting budget, but we are close enough that we are making it work, and we'll be able to make it work for several months. So we appreciate the fact that you've been mindful about your support of us, and to know that every level of support has turned out to be incredibly helpful. So thank you. We have an offertory blessing that we like to say every Sunday. It's such a great reminder of the power of this force in our lives. So please join me. God's love has always met and will always meet all my needs. I give freely, I receive abundantly, and I am grateful. And so it is. Know that you can, after the service is over, pop over to our website and give via PayPal or send checks. Whatever it is that works for you, works for us. A few pieces of community news that I'd like to communicate with you. You've probably seen the slides. There may even be slides rotating through the screen now, but one that I want to bring up is that on September 30th, our youth and family programming will begin.
August 30th.
Oh, August 30th. Thank you. Yes. You would all be showing up a month late.
Where is everyone?
It would be because of my announcement. Thank you, Janice. So on August 30th, you can see where my mind is. It's at 10:15 in the morning, I believe. And we have had wonderful programming for the kids. And one of the great things about being virtual is that if you've got kids around the country or grandkids, you might invite them to check out our programming. It is really wonderful work that Christopher and the team put on. So we invite you to that. As I said, we thought it would be a great idea to order the Blessing of Anger. They haven't quite come in yet, but we will have 12 copies. We're thinking they're going to come in this week. And also our fall program starts.
September 20th.
See, don't you love that? Janice, you should be doing this, Janice. You've got this down. On September 20th.
My contract.
On September 20th. And if you're not familiar with our programming, we do a spring and a fall program. They are 7 weeks of content, but the program is 9 or 10 weeks, depending on how the group structures it. It's a great opportunity to get to know people more intimately in this community. And so anybody can register for those. We want to let you know that we are going to do radical forgiveness. That was what we planned for our spring book, and we went ahead thinking that we were going to do it and bought 150 copies of it. So it would really help us if you would stop by the church and pick up a copy. We will be very safe with you. The books have not been handled by people except to put them on the shelves days ago, maybe even weeks ago at this point. And we would love to clear out that inventory of 150. Sign up for the groups will be in the next couple of weeks as soon as we have that ready, and it'll be through Breeze. Oh, and today we're going to have Fellowship at 12:15, a great opportunity, again, to connect with people in the community. The link for it was sent out in the bulletin this morning via email, so just click on that link and join us. If you're not getting that email and you'd like to get it, just reach out to Rachel at columbineunity.org, and she will get you signed up. With that, I think we're ready to sing.
I think we're ready. You can stand at home, or you can just keep on enjoying the comfort of your easy chair.
That sounds
That's the great
good.
thing about online services.
On
surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us.
Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a great week, everyone.
Love you.
Living in the day to day, I sometimes push my dreams away, worried that the hours are running thin. But each time I walk away from me, there's a pull of who I used to be. That old familiar pang is running through. I struggle to remember them. The edge of fear is like a friend. I walk the line as I am hoping to. Get in the flow like the wind blows through the trees, like a river running with great ease on a silky sunlit day. It's so carefree. Get in the flow, don't you know that it's smooth as ice when you're in it, moving twice as nice, gliding through the world for all to see. When I take the time for me, the words inside are finally freed, mindful of the voice that lays its claim. I hear it in the rain, I find it when I'm here again. I wonder every time it calls my name. Now the muse is next to me, her glory only I can see. Let's do it, says a voice as loud as can be. Get in the flow like the wind blows through the trees, like a river running with great ease on a silky sunlit day. It's so carefree. Get in the flow, don't you know that it's smooth as ice when you're in it, moving twice as nice, gliding through the world for all to see. Get in the flow, get in the flow. Get in the flow, get in the flow.
Chloe George.
Get in the flow like the wind blows through the trees, like a river running with great ease on a silky sunlit day. It's so carefree. Get in the flow, don't you know that it's smooth as ice when you're in it, moving twice as nice, gliding through the world for all to see. Get in the flow like the wind blows through the trees, like a river running with great ease on a silky sunlit day. It's so carefree. Get in the flow, don't you know that it's smooth as ice when you're in it, moving twice as nice, gliding through the world for all to see. Gliding through the world for all to see. Gliding through the world for all to see.
It's Lisa Bell.
Thank
we love
you.
you. Have a beautiful week. See you next time.